What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of Life's a Garden. Today's positive motivational message is get out. Get out and go out. And I don't mean go out to dinner. I don't mean go out to the park. I mean get out of town. Go out of the city. Go out of your state. Go out of your country. Travel. Put yourself in a different environment than what you are used to in your day-to-day life. Just recently, just yesterday, I got back from my trip to Oregon. Went out there for a wedding. And I know I go on a lot of trips. I go on a lot of vacations. I leave town quite often. But every single time I do, I feel a recharge. It's stepping out of your mundane, just like your day-to-day existence, your day-to-day work, your day-to-day, the mundane, the average day. You're stepping away from that. You're putting yourself in an unfamiliar environment. You are meeting new people. You're going to new places, learning new things. And the best way to do that, yes, you can go to places you've never been in your hometown. But really, when you go somewhere else, different city, different state, you know what I mean? You are putting yourself in a completely unfamiliar environment. And it invigorates you. It rejuvenates you in a way that's kind of not explainable to me. Like, I can't really explain it. But it's just nice to experience something that's unfamiliar and fresh and new. And then when you come back home, you appreciate your home, your usual day-to-day until it's time to go do it again and get that refresh, get that restart. So go out, and get yourself a nice restart. And with that, let's get in to a brand new episode. It is episode 208 of Life's a Garden. Oh yeah, brand new day, brand new week, feeling refreshed, feeling large and in charge. First off, let me just thank all of you for tuning in to today's episode, tuning in this week. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and follow on all platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube. Leave a comment, hit the like button, really do appreciate it, and I appreciate you helping grow this garden. Had a great vacation week. That's another thing. You know, a vacation is important. It's important for you to take time for yourself. If you want to talk about getting refreshed, if you want to talk about rejuvenating and just adding a little bit of energy into your life, take a break. I mean, even most vacations, it's not really break. I mean, you're kind of go. You're doing a lot of stuff. But when you're not doing your usual, your Groundhog's Day type of thing where you're going to work and then you're going home and then you're breaking the cycle, you're breaking your schedule and you're going on vacation. Maybe you are just relaxing, but it's just important to have time to yourself. It's important to give yourself a break. It helps freshen the mind, freshen the brain, and gives you a little bit of energy to keep plugging through with this life. You know what I'm saying? So take vacations, take time off, take time to yourself. But yes, went on, have had a 5-day vacation, little break from work and all that. It's been very nice. It has been kind of go, but I like that. I like staying busy. I like not being busy with work. I like being busy with fun and excitement. And that's what this was. And I'll just break down the trip for you, all right? Took my first ever trip down the Oregon Trail. And now I'm here to tell my Oregon tale. Tell me I'm not a poet. Yes, my first time in Oregon. I've been to Seattle. I've been to California. I've been to Idaho. I've been, obviously, to Montana, Wyoming, all the surrounding states. I've never been to Oregon. And the first time I go to Oregon, of course, it would be Portland. Portland, the biggest city in Oregon. And, you know, if you hear things that people say, you hear all the talk about how bad Portland is. It's a liberal dump. There's homeless rampant. And it's, you know, Drugsville. Because remember when Oregon legalized all drugs? And so there's a lot of stigma to not only the state of Oregon, but specifically the city of Portland. Upon my first reaction, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Now, I didn't dive deep into the city of Portland. I was staying in a little bit more rich neighborhood. That's just the neighborhood that this wedding was taking place and my friends and all them happen to live in. So it's a little bit more upper class, let's say that, a little bit upper class area of Portland. And even still, in that area, there were a pretty, you know, a decent number of homeless. I won't say it was an abundance. Driving from the airport to the hotel I was staying at, you know, you'd see the tent cities, you'd see here or there, but I had it envisioned in my head, the way it was talked about, that it was just tents everywhere. And we did see some homeless people geeking out on some, most likely, fentanyl. And so the tales are true in that sense. And from what my friends have told me that live there, that it is pretty bad. Like, not all the tales are false. But from my personal experience, it wasn't Zombieland, you know? It was nice. And let me tell you this, scenery-wise, one of the greenest places besides Ireland that I've ever been. Like, vegetation aplenty. Just tree after tree. You're driving up these roads, and it reminded me similar to Ireland. The trees are just right on the road, and it almost makes you kind of claustrophobic. It makes you think like a deer, especially being from Montana, that a deer is just going to dart out at any given moment. Yeah, but anyway, from my first impression, it wasn't bad at all. It was quite nice. Let me tell you this. Every single person I encountered there, all my Uber drivers, all my waitresses, servers, bartenders, the nicest people. For real. Everybody was so kind, so polite, and helpful. Didn't have one negative experience with a person at all. Everybody was nice. The hotel I was staying at, so like I said, staying in a little bit more of a high class area, higher class, maybe even middle class. We'll say that. I don't know. It was a nicer portion of Portland. The hotel I'm staying at, right, looks a little dingy on the outside. It's like, from what the pictures had shown online, it looked nicer than this. Literally right behind my hotel was an adult video store. And on to the left was a Taco Bell. And I'm thinking, boy, do I know how to pick location. It's all about location. Do I know how to pick a hotel that suits all my needs? Adult video store and Taco Bell, I don't even need to leave the hotel. I'm already on vacation at this point. Like, that's my vacation itself. It was beautiful. And I'll say this, as dingy as the outside looked, inside was great. Like, the rooms were very nice and neat. It looked like any normal hotel. There wasn't any sketchy business. There wasn't any, like, you know, weird stuff going on in and out of the hotel. So it was good. Like I said, this is still in my first impression mode. First night I'm there, we go to the bride and groom had just had their rehearsal dinner. And so they had all done that. They did the rehearsal dinner. I show up a little late because, just based on the time that I had arrived. I get there, we're hanging out. Let me just say this, okay? These folks got some cash, right? And I think that's a kudos to me as well. This is what's become. I grew up, I currently live in a trailer, but I grew up in trailer parks. I grew up and I still, like I said, I still live in a trailer park, but at least I own the place. Let's just say, growing up, we weren't surrounded by a lot of luxury and lavish lifestyle. And if we were, it was an absolute, just mind-boggling experience. And now, look at me now. Look at me now, Ma. Grown up. And hanging out in fucking beautiful estates. These, for real though, and I'm not trying to blow this out of proportion. These guys had a nice house, beautiful backyard, beautiful landscaping, and I can always appreciate a good home. And so we had a great time, great hosts. Everybody had a good, we were smoking cigars out in the back, just chilling, having some beverages. That was night one. Day two was the 4th of July. And so kind of just hung out during the day, went and had breakfast at this really nice diner across the street. And then all of my friends, so this is my buddy Mac's cousin. It's his wedding, right? I've gotten to know Quentin pretty well. Just from, Quentin was in Mac's wedding as well. And so all of their family is in town. And I've gotten to know Mac's family pretty well throughout the years, And so we go have a barbecue at their one of their houses, one of the family members' houses. Again, beautiful house. Like, chef's kiss. Congrats to everybody congrats to anybody who can do that. That's a dream of mine. It is an absolute goal, not a dream. It is a goal of mine to have a home that I can host parties in and have people stay. That's definitely on my list. But anyway, I digress. Had a fun time, played some cornhole, had some great food. We go over to another relative's house and shoot off some fireworks. We were having Roman candle fights. Bro, I had a nightmare that night about getting chased by Mac shooting fucking fireballs at me. Because, let me tell you, we were doing those Roman candle fights, and the fireballs, one zipped right next to my head, and one zipped right over my head, and I thought he was out. No, he kept firing it, and I'm just like, full sprint, booking it at this point, because, yeah. I've never been in a Roman candle fight before. My first time, it was quite exhilarating, to say the least. Now, let me say this. As fun as it was, as much fun as I had on the 4th of July, I was watching Snapchat videos and people posting on Facebook and things like that of home. 4th of July here at home. And I got a little homesick. I will say that. I got a little homesick for the 4th of July. Now, the 4th of July is, as I've mentioned before, one of my all-time favorite holidays. And nothing, I'm telling you right now, nothing beats Laurel fireworks. I missed hanging out with my family here. I missed hanging out with my friends. And, even though I was hanging out with friends, like I said, I don't regret how I spent my 4th of July this year. But when you're used to doing it a certain way so many times, it definitely makes you a little homesick for it. And I did feel that a little bit. And it made me realize how much I do love 4th of July here in Billings and in Laurel. And it kind of just shows to how great it really is. But there's always next year. You know what I mean? There's always next year to go to Laurel. How often do you get to go spend 4th of July somewhere else? So, no regrets. Just had a moment of homesick feeling during that point. But anyway, it was still a fun 4th of July. We had a good time. The next day is the wedding. And another thing, just to point this out before I forget, Portland, Oregon has an absolute abundance of strip clubs. I've never seen, like, we'll be driving down one street and there's 4 strip clubs in like a 10-block radius. I was stunned by the amount of strip clubs. And it's funny because when I got back, one of my friends down at the Crystal said, "Did you go to any strip clubs?" I was like, "No, but I had plenty of opportunities." He says, "Yeah, there are a ton of them." And he was not wrong. There's a ton of them. So that's another impression of Portland that I have. Anyway, back to the story. Day of the wedding. I pretty much, because we partied all late into the night on the 4th of July. So I slept in. I chilled at the hotel right up until it was time to get ready and get dressed for the wedding. Of course, your boy gets dapper as fuck, right? Because when it's time for a wedding, your boy cleans up nice. Got the vest, got the tie, nice dress shoes, cabbie hat. As I'm getting dressed, I'm going to put my dress shoes on, right? And I notice like a little something sticking out in my shoe, and I'm like, what is that? So I tug on it. You'll never believe what was in my shoe. Both shoes, for that matter. Remember long ago when I told you about when I went to Ireland? I had collected some rocks from the cliffs of Moher. And when I got home, I couldn't find them. I didn't know where they were. I thought I had left them at the hotel. I've been devastated by the fact that I left those rocks, or that I just misplaced them somewhere. Almost a complete calendar year later, I find those rocks in my dress shoes. Nothing like that. Might be one of the most ecstatic feelings I've ever felt. Look at these beauties. Beautiful rocks from the cliffs of Moher. These are treasures to me. And like I said, I was devastated when I thought I'd lost them. And yet, this whole time, they've been in my closet, stuffed in my dress shoes. That just goes to show how often I wear dress shoes, right? The last time I wore them was on my birthday almost a year ago. So that was a cool little thing to discover and find. Very stoked about that. Get all dressed up. We head to the wedding. I mean, this is just like the theme of this trip. Beautiful venue. Like, on this little, I don't know, it must have been a man-made lake, because there was like fountains in there, you know? Bridges, trees all around. The inside, there's a big old chandelier. Beautiful venue, beautiful cake. Just everything about it. The ceremony, the food, everything. And everybody dressed up real nice. So it just looked real formal, real classy, and just a very, very beautiful ceremony. Now, I've never, ever been to a wedding that went off perfectly. Their sound system was fucking up when they're trying to give their vows and all that. It was like crackling, and it got real bad. If I was getting married, if I was the one standing up there and that PA was crackling that bad, I would have just been like, sorry, everybody, one moment. Hey, turn it the fuck off, right? I'd have been like, turn that shit off, you're ruining my wedding. But that wasn't enough to ruin this wedding. It was still a beautiful ceremony, still a beautiful reception, the dancing. Now, the best part about this wedding, because it's something that I've never seen at a wedding, first of all. So the bride is, her family's from Mexico, right? So Spanish speaking, a lot of her family are purely Spanish speaking. They don't speak a lick of English. And so the whole ceremony, they had to translate. So they do one portion and then they do it in Spanish. They do English and then Spanish, back and forth, which did make it a little bit longer, but it was still like really cool. It was culturally cool that they did that and they added that. But the best part, they hired I don't know the proper term. It's not a mariachi band, but it was a Mexican band, like with the trumpets and the tuba, the drums, all of it. It was fantastic to have a live band that's like authentic Mexican music, Spanish music. And it made me realize something. Okay? And I think I've deep down kind of just known this, but when you're in that environment and you're with a bunch of a large Spanish family, you got just a lot of the culture is right there in front of you. Mexican culture is awesome. It is so cool, and to be completely honest with you, it reminds me so much of Irish culture. Now, obviously, there's some differences, pretty significant differences. The main one, now, let me just tell you the comparisons first. They love to dance. They love music. They love to party. Like, honestly, and obviously they party, the Mexican people and the Irish people party a little differently. This is why the only two party holidays of the year that is like strictly about drinking and getting fucked up and having a great time are St. Patrick's Day and Cinco de Mayo. Because those two cultures know how to party. Like I said, love of music, love of dance, and they know how to party. Mexican people will party to the break of dawn. They will party all night long. These people were dancing like I would have been dead after one round of dancing. No, they just kept on going. They can put down beer just like the Irish people. They know how to drink. The Mexican people have tequila, and the Irish people have the whiskey. Now, what's funny is I prefer tequila. And actually, if I had to choose between like a Modelo or a Corona or between that and Guinness, that's a little bit of a toss-up. I think it's more of a strikes the mood type of... hang on. Ugh, that was inevitable. That had to come out. We were never going to get through this podcast if I didn't do that. I think it's more of a mood when it comes to those beers. But no, Mexican culture is amazing. It reminds me so much of my own culture. But there is one area that Mexican culture absolutely blows Ireland culture out of the water. And it's the food. The food is always, like, it's 10 times better, right? I mean, Irish don't really have, like, set cuisines that are, like, staples, when there are so many Mexican dishes that will blow my balls off. Mexican food might be tied with my all-time favorite cuisine just next to Italian food. And yes, so there's that. And then, the family connection between Irish families and Mexican families, they have very strong connections to their family. They typically have very large families. And then also you add the religious aspect where, there's a Spanish Catholic and then there's Irish Catholic. So there's a religious connector too. It never really dawned on me the similarities until this wedding. And it's amazing. And I love it. And how fitting for me to make that discovery and find my Ireland rocks. It was just kind of, it was story-esque. Let's say that. It was poetic for all of that to happen on the same day. So I felt very connected in that moment to everybody that was there. It was beautiful. Again, everybody so nice, had a great time. After the wedding, they had to break down about 11 o'clock. We all go out, all like the bridesmaids and the groomsmen, the wedding party, and myself. I wasn't part of the wedding party, but myself, probably some other friends that weren't in there too. We went out and after partied. We bar hopped. We were out till about 2 a.m. And then, of course, one thing I do not like about big cities that I love about being from, and it makes me appreciate the hometown, everything is so far from each other. Everything is so spread out and so far apart. And it takes forever to get from point A to point B. Like, to get from one place to the other, it's like 20 to 30 minutes at any given moment. Here, you can get from one end of the town to the other in 15 minutes, basically. And actually, traffic wasn't too bad in Portland. I'll give you that. The traffic, I never had a bad traffic day. Anyway, so I didn't even get back home, or back to the hotel, till about 3 a.m. Next day, I got to get up at 8 a.m. so that I can pack my bag and kind of, shake the cobwebs loose a little bit, and then head to the airport. I was flying out at 11:20. I wasn't going to have a Denver situation again, right? I was not going to show up late to the airport and then rush to my gate. I've never been, I've only been to the Portland airport on arrival. So I don't know my way around so easy. I'm in my head, I'm assuming, right? It's a smaller airport than Denver, of course. There's not too many that aren't bigger. And then I'm assuming security is going to be pretty light. And my assumptions were correct. It was easy to get through security. It was easy to get to my gate. And, I definitely could have slept in a little longer. But I was not going to have another Denver incident where I almost missed my flight. That was not going to happen. But anyway, yeah. Dude, the Denver airport, let me tell you, the Portland airport, it's a blast from the past. It looks straight out of the 80s and the 90s. It is retro as fuck. How the hell they have not updated that thing is beyond me. The Billings airport, okay, if you're a Billings native and you remember what the Billings airport looked like, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, that is what Portland's airport looks like, just on a bigger scale. Our airport has upgraded and looks beautiful now. So kudos to the Billings airport. Now, we got to talk about planes for a minute, because there's a few things that I really kind of discovered on this trip. New things. I've been flying a lot lately. I was thinking about it. This year alone, I flew to Vegas, I flew to Denver, and now to Portland. And I also, in the second half of this year, will be flying to Denver again, Portland again, and Vegas again. I'm doing all three. I'm doing all those trips twice. And for the same things, basically. I'm going to Denver for a concert again. I'm going to Vegas for a football game, but also to go to Vegas. And I'm going to Portland for another wedding. So I'm like, speaking of Groundhog's Day, I'm basically just reliving the second half of this year as the first half. Anyway, so first things first. Airline points, right? You know how they have those like airline points where it's like, you can sign up for this card and we'll give you 60,000 points or 60,000 miles or whatever it is. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's probably not a lot when it comes to like what the points actually mean in the long run. So airline points are like power levels in Dragon Ball Z. Like, you can tell me the most incredible number, and I don't know what that means anymore. Like, oh, that's a lot, or is it? Right? Because these guys in Dragon Ball Z, you get season 3, Frieza saying that he's a million power level, when just 2 seasons ago, 9,000 was an astronomical number. And now Freeze is telling me he's 1,000,000. So what does the power levels mean? It means nothing. They're meaningless numbers that get thrown about. That's what airline points are. Airline points are a large, meaningless number that just makes you kind of go, whoa, that's a lot. So that was one thing that I thought about. Also, hey, what's a guy got to do to not be in the last group to board? The last 3 times I've flown, right? Twice. When me and Mom flew to Vegas, and then also, I think, when I went to Denver, I bought upgraded seats. I paid extra to sit closer to the front, and, I'm paying for premium seating. And both those times, we were in Group D. Now, I'm pretty sure Group A is for, like, rewards members and whatnot, military, all that. Group B is some other, like, tier level. But then we go C, D, E, F. Those are the ones that, I don't know how they judge it. I don't know how they decide what group you're in. But hey, why am I, if I'm paying for premium, why am I not getting in there earlier than the last group? This time around, I was in Group F. I was the last to board every time, even though on my second flight, because I had to fly to Seattle and then I flew to Seattle and then flew to Portland. On the way back, I flew from Portland straight to Billings. It was a direct flight back. When I was flying from Seattle to Portland, I upgraded to an exit row. So I had extra legroom. And then they're stressing the importance of the exit row to me. Like, hey, in case of an emergency, are you able to help everybody on this plane? Are you able to assist in case of an emergency? And I said yes. Don't you think I should get a little bit of priority here? As somebody willing to save everybody on board this plane, the least you could do is let me board earlier. No. The hero has to board last. The hero, the person that you expect to step up in the event of a catastrophic emergency. That's the guy you want boarding last, huh? The absolute disrespect. And I'm going to be honest with you. So, I got that exit row. And there's an episode of King of the Hill, okay, where they are flying to Japan. And Hank and Bobby are sitting in an exit row. And the stewardess comes over. She gives the whole spiel. Like, she's like, your son looks very young. He has to be 13 to sit in an exit row. Is he capable of helping assist people in the event of an emergency? And Hank goes, he is in fact 13. But then he taps the stewardess and says, in the event of an emergency, I'm not so sure he could handle it. And Bobby's like, what the hell, Dad? And he's like, I'm sorry, son. I just don't think you're... And then Bobby agrees. He's like, yeah, I'll go sit somewhere else. Anyway, as they're flying, the guy sitting next to Hank is cracking a beer and taking a sip. And Hank looks at him and says, I like beer just like the next guy, but we're on duty. And I always thought that was funny, right? And every time I've ever sat in an exit row, I like an exit row because, like I said, you get the extra legroom. Every time I've sat in an exit row, I didn't think twice about it. I never once was like, oh yeah, if things, I can assist, whatever, blah, 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 just shut up, let me have my extra legroom, I'm going to throw my headphones on and go to sleep. This just goes to show my age. It goes to show my age hard. This was the very first time I thought to myself, I consciously thought, I might, like, if things go down, I have to be prepared to help people. Like, I genuinely thought, I'm on duty. Like, I'm going to be ready and prepared. So I pulled out that pamphlet and I read front to back the instructions of how I was going to have to. I was running scenarios through my head, how to pull up the window down and kick down the exit door. I read it all. So this goes to show my age. And I'm telling you all right now, if you're ever on a plane and you see me in an exit row, you got nothing to fear. Because your boy is ready to save your life. And with that, how about I get I get aboard the plane a little early, huh? Isn't that the least you could do? I'm ready and willing. Absolutely. You know what else I've noticed? As somebody who's been flying a lot more recently, and just the last couple of years, I've flown quite a bit. Every time I'm flying into Billings, you can tell, you're coming in on your descent. You can always tell when the descent is happening. Whether you're coming from Denver, or Seattle, or Portland, or Minneapolis. No matter what, because those are all the different directions. No matter what direction you're coming from. And I've lived in this state 30 years. I know landmarks. I know what's around. I've driven all over the place here. I've been everywhere. To this day, flying into Billings, we could be, it literally looks like we're 1,000 feet off the ground. So we're getting close. I still to this day can never figure out where the fuck we are. Because the city is just surrounded by nothing. There's times we're on descent and I'm like, is that Laurel? Is that Columbus? That could be, like, you see little pocket towns or whatever. And I'm like, is that, like, I'm trying to figure out, like, what that might be and how far we are. And then all of a sudden, like, there's nothing. And then it's like, oh shit, there's the Metra. Oh shit, there's the refinery. Oh, like, now all of a sudden, out of the fucking clear blue sky, Billings, just boom. And it's like within 2 minutes of landing. Because we're coming down and we are, like I said, we are like 1,000 feet off the ground. And I'm still like, where the fuck is Billings? Where's the city? I should be able to tell something. I should be able to, like, recognize something around here. Nah, never. I'm never able to pinpoint until like 2 minutes before landing. It's the weirdest thing ever. As somebody who's lived here forever, and I still can't figure out where the fuck we are when we're in the air on our descent. I don't get it. I don't understand. But anyway, yeah. So check this out. Here, I come back, right? So keep in mind, from what I just said, I was out till 3 a.m., got up early, flew back home, and 4 hours later, after arriving in Billings, played a show at the pub station. I think I mentioned it last week, we got offered to open for the band Drugs, and there's 4 total bands on the bill, and then us. Great opportunity. Very happy that we were very happy and very grateful to have been given that opportunity by the pub station. It's great to know that we are a band that they can count on, or somebody that they at least look to count on. And that's why it was very important for me to show up professionally, remain professional, sound check well, be quick, be efficient, get on the stage quick, get off the stage quick, and most importantly, put on a good performance. I really... So the show didn't start till 6:20. Or no, I shouldn't say didn't start. It started at 6:20. Most shows start at like 7, right? So I had a very low expectation of how this show was going to go. I was thinking, people aren't going to show up very early. They're going to maybe trickle in by the end of our set. We only had a 25-minute set, which for that we played 5 songs because a lot of the songs that we were playing were a little bit longer, and we didn't want to run the light. The last thing I wanted to do was be invited to be an opening act and then go over our time. So we actually played under our time a little bit. But I'd rather be off early than run late and make it a problem. You know what I mean? We don't want to be known as the problem band. And so we I had very little expectations. And another thing is I wasn't sure how many, because I hadn't seen advertisements for this show until we were offered for it. They told us, yeah, you're going to open for this band called Drugs, and I'm like, I didn't even hear about that show. So I wasn't sure how many people even knew about it. I wasn't sure how many people knew these bands. Like, you got to think, we're from Billings, Montana. I don't know what people know. Like, it's not a name recognition group. It's not, they're like any of the bands on the ticket, they're not like big names. Now, let me say this. They were all very good. Every one of those bands killed it. And it is summer, right? People come out for shows no matter who they are. Nonetheless, I still had reservations about how this show was going to go. And for us especially, I didn't think people were going to show up that early. I only brought like half of our merch because I was like, I don't even know if we're going to be able to set up merch because there's 4 other bands. Is there going to be space? All my perceived expectations were completely thrown out the water. It blew expectations away. We had our own merch area right next to all the other big bands. We were able to display our shit very nicely. We had, by the time we played, there was way more people there than I expected. I would say by the time we played, there was probably about 40 people, and by the time we finished, there was probably about 60 people. That's not too bad for starting out. And so, and I thought we put on a good show. Kind of sucks when you have to play that short set because you could see the crowd was starting to finally jive with us, and then we were done. Like I think we were starting to kind of get them in our pockets a little bit, and then we had to wrap it up. But that's all good. You leave them wanting a little more. That's the beauty of being a local band, is now they can come see us again. It was great. It was a great opportunity to have people who have never seen us before come and see us. It especially helped that we actually sounded good and performed well, and we were tight. That helped a lot. And yeah, we sold a decent amount of merch. We met a lot of really great people, a lot of cool people that came up and thanked us and thought we did, had kind words. And then there was people that bought merch just to buy merch. There's people, and we got to meet some people and be like, hey, we're locally located. If you ever want to see us again or check us out, you can check us out on Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. So it was a great networking opportunity, right? It was just a great chance for us to have a crowd that has not seen us before, to kind of talk to other, just talk to people. We took some pictures with some people. That was a really cool feeling. Had some people, people were just buying koozies, right? Just to walk around with koozies. That was pretty cool. It was awesome. It was great. It was a great time. We got to talk to the other bands. So that was a great networking opportunity. We gave our CD to all the bands. Just, why not? Throw it out there. Maybe they like it. Maybe they don't. Whatever. It is what it is. It's all good. But it's a great opportunity to network. And that's what it was. Yeah. So just an overall great weekend, a great time. That's the Oregon tale that I'm here to tell. Now, just to recap, okay? Just for all of you out there. Just to recap. 4th of July. Hung out all night. Went to the 4th of July. Awesome. Next day. Go to the wedding. Stayed out till 3 a.m. Woke up at 8 a.m. Flew from Portland, Oregon, all the way back to Billings, Montana. I was home for 30 minutes before I had to leave, go sound check, and then played a show at the pub station. And what did I do after the show? Closed down the bars, baby. Out till 2 a.m. And now I'm here doing my podcast. You know what that says about me? You know what I can officially say? Your boy is undoubtedly a bona fide rock star. That is absolute rock star territory. That is definition rock star. You wake up hungover in another city, and the next night you're performing a show in a different city and closing the bars down again. And then you wake up and you tell the whole story. That is absolute rock star status. So nice to meet ya, Dakota Craig, rock star. How you doing? How you doing? Keep it moving. No, it's been awesome. Like this really has been a great experience. It's been a great time. I was very happy to be there for Quentin and Jenny. Congratulations to them on their wedding. Beautiful ceremony, beautiful wedding, beautiful couple. Very happy for dude. I don't know what it is about weddings. I got emotional a couple of times. I didn't cry. I held it together, but I could feel it welling up inside me a little bit. I could feel a little something catching me, and didn't let it get the best of me. But there's something there. There's something about weddings that just hit me right in the feels. Another great thing that about this trip that was cool was getting to hang out with Mac, of course, and his family, and getting to see the kids. You know, I had a nice opportunity to help them with the kids on a few occasions, and just be Uncle Dak, as the last week's episode inferred as a joke. But yeah, you know, I'm honorary Uncle Dakota, so that was pretty cool to actually get to like hang out with the kids and yeah, and just help out. So it was fun. We had a good time, and great memories. Great time to just for everything. So that's the trip. That's the whole trip. It was amazing. It was fun. We had a great time, and yeah. So this is why I say. This is why I opened up the podcast with this. This is what I mean. Get out. Get out there. I mean, shit. Even if like, let's just for the example of being from Billings, let's say you're here in Billings, right? Just go on a day trip to Red Lodge. Go on a weekend's trip to the Hot Springs. Go to Bozeman. Go to Missoula for a weekend. Like, those are not very hard trips to make. Just get out. Just go do something. Go to a little town that you've never been to before. Go into a bar. Go into a restaurant. You know, mingle with some people. You never know. And that alone can be refreshing. Because when you're stuck here, yeah, I've lived here for 30 years, and there's still places in this city that I have never been to. So yeah, I could go check out some other places and do other things. But when you live here, you tend to stick to what's comfortable, right? That's why I go to Hooligans all the time. That's why I go to the Crystal all the time. I have like my 5 or 6 set places I like to hang out. And so when you push yourself to the option of going somewhere else, when you're like, yeah, I'll go hang out at this place I've never been to before. But then in the back of your head, you're like, oh, but I could just go to the Crystal again. I could just go to Hooligans again. And then I end up just doing that. Because I don't have I have the option to go to a place I'm comfortable with. But if you're in a different city, if you're in a different state, if you're somewhere that you have no idea where anything is, you're forced. There's nowhere else to go. There's nowhere else for you to go than somewhere you've never been. And it's refreshing. When I went to Ireland, that's the most refreshing. Is because I was not only experiencing new places, new people, I was experiencing an entirely different culture. And that, like I said earlier, I got to experience a little bit more closely the Mexican culture. That was great. I got a whole perspective. And it really does. It does exactly what I said it did. It rejuvenates you. It makes you feel alive again. It makes you just feel good. And so that I'm just bringing it full circle here. Do yourself a favor. Go out. Get out. Get out of wherever you're living and experience something a little different. And you'll just feel better for it. You really will. You'll get a little bit of a spiritual juice, a little jolt of energy that just gets you right in the heart. It's nice. It's very nice. We still got a little bit of time here, so we'll wrap it up with it's kind of funny, right? I've mentioned on and off about how I was really big into wrestling for a long time there. So much so that I was planning on becoming a wrestler. Like, I actually had plans to go down to Denver, train to be a professional wrestler, which in hindsight is absolutely crazy because, for one, I'm not the best public speaker, so it's hard to if I was going to do promos, I would probably be fumbling all over my words. Now, obviously, you listen to this podcast, I'm decent at this, but that's in front of a live audience, right? Having to talk in front of a live audience, I've never been great at that. I'm very forgetful, so it would be easy for me to forget transitions and moves and move sets. And most importantly, I have never been athletic. So the idea that I was actually going to go down there and do that never made sense. But that just goes to show how much I liked the sport of professional wrestling. The entertainment aspect of professional wrestling. I enjoyed the storylines. I enjoyed the story building, the characters. And actually, I for not being trained, I knew the moves and stuff pretty well. I knew how to execute them. And I did go down there and try out, and it was fun. It was a good experience. But nonetheless, this just goes to prove how much of a wrestling fan I was at the time. And between now and then, I've kind of been up and down, right? I've never really been, ever since that time to now, I used to be so dedicated. Like, I would watch every pay-per-view. I'd watch every Monday Night Raw. I think we would skip SmackDowns. But, I stayed up to date. And I stayed invested in the storylines. And now I've kind of, between now and then, I would kind of get invested a little bit again, and then not. And then AEW came around, and I was like, oh, this is something new, something fresh. And I got invested for a little while there. Then it fell down, it fell to the wayside. It's just something I haven't consistently been able be intrigued by and be and follow closely. But recently, I have found myself diving down some wrestling rabbit holes again. Now, I have not been consistently watching Monday Night Raw or the pay-per-views or anything like that. I have been keeping updated, so I know the results. I just don't watch all the matches, and I kind of know the storylines vaguely. I know a little bit of what's going on. And there's been some pretty compelling stuff to watch lately. They're starting to lean out of the PG era. They're moving into the Paul Levesque era. I'm hoping it's going to be similar to, like, it's going to be a whole new thing. And it's exciting. It's fun to kind of watch. But really what I've been diving into is like more old stories. Like old wrestling stories, old just cool like things on podcasts. And then like old wrestling documentaries and things like that. Like that's what I've been really diving into, is more of the past. Things that I didn't know when I was a kid or know even when I was a teenager watching wrestling. It's interesting to pull back the curtain a little bit and see kind of the behind the scenes. And now that The Undertaker has kind of come out and started talking, that's like one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, one of the most professional, just loves the craft so much. And for him to come out and speak and tell stories is pretty big. So when he speaks, you listen. And it's exciting. It's fun. So that's just kind of been something that's newer as of late. I've started kind of just dipping my toe back in the wrestling world. Very slow dip. Let's say that. I'm not jumping head first. I don't really plan. I got so much to watch, man. I think that's probably why that's happening right now. It's because there's not a whole lot to watch. There's not a lot of sports going on besides, UFC, but that's only on Saturdays. No football, basketball's over, hockey's over. So maybe that's why. I'm kind of just feeding that desire, that need for sports. And I think that's kind of what's happening maybe a little bit. Speaking of sports though, the Billings Outlaws, that game is coming up this weekend. Playoff game. Should be fun. It's going to be at the Metra. They're trying to pack that house. I'll be there. It's going to be a fun time. So, looking forward to that. Got some things to look forward to. My cousin Ezra will be in town this weekend. Haven't seen him in a couple of years. Very excited to see him and hang out with cousin Aaron. So, we got a lot of cool stuff looking forward to this next week too. So, I'm excited. Had a great weekend. Had a great little vacation. Feeling refreshed, feeling rejuvenated, and we're going to take that energy all the way through this week into the next one, and hopefully we just keep that cycle of moving, right? Do yourselves a favor. Get out, get refreshed. Do what I did. Just go out and have yourself a time, because it's a great experience, and it really will just help rejuvenate you a little bit. And that is today's episode. Thank you all so very much for listening. Really do appreciate it. Again, like, share, subscribe, follow on all platforms. Help grow this garden. It is very much appreciated. And for all of you, don't forget, life's a garden. Dig it.
Just gotta keep on